The silent killer of dreams. Fear of criticism. Fear, not poverty, not lack of education, not bad luck, is the greatest barrier to success. But not just any fear. Not the fear of failing. Not the fear of pain or death. The one silent fear that ruins more dreams than anything else. The fear of criticism. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had an idea, a dream, a passion, something deep within your soul, but you never acted on it? Not because you thought it was impossible, but because you were terrified of what others would think? Welcome to the prison that 95% of people live in. A prison without bars. Built not by the government, not by circumstance, but by our own minds. Constructed brick by brick from every time we were laughed at, judged, or ridiculed. Napoleon Hill knew this. In Think and Grow Rich, he called it by name. Fear of criticism robs man of his initiative, destroys his imagination, limits his individuality, and takes away his self-reliance. He didn't say might rob or could affect. He said robs, like a thief, because that's exactly what this fear is. It's the thief of dreams, where this fear begins. Most people think we're born fearless, but that's not true. We're born with only two fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Everything else, every fear you carry today, was learned. And the most destructive one was taught early and subtly. Don't be different. Don't stand out. Don't embarrass yourself. You heard it when you were just a child. Don't wear that. What will people think? Don't say that. People will laugh at you. You want to be a singer? Come on, be realistic. So you learned. You learned to shrink, to sit quietly, to wait for permission, to doubt yourself before the world even had a chance to. And now, decades later, you don't need anyone to criticize you. You do it yourself. You hear a dream in your heart, and your mind replies, "Don't be stupid. Who do you think you are? What if you fail and they see?" We call it being realistic. We call it playing it safe. But let's call it what it really is. Fear wearing a mask. The cost of this fear. Let's stop and be honest. How many songs were never sung? How many books were never written? How many businesses never started? Inventions never built? Lives never changed? Because someone was afraid of being laughed at? Millions, maybe billions. And that's not poetic exaggeration. That's the cold truth. Think about the 95% who never become wealthy, fulfilled, or free. What stops them? Most people don't live lives. They live reactions. Reactions to what they think others expect. Reactions to what society says is acceptable. Reactions to invisible rules written by people who don't even know them. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's not laziness. It's not fate. It's the constant fear that they'll be criticized if they step out of line. So they stay quiet. They follow the crowd. And slowly, they become invisible, even to themselves. Real-world examples. Let me paint the picture clearer with real people, not celebrities, but ordinary individuals. Jason was a talented artist. His sketchbook was full of breathtaking drawings. He wanted to post them online, maybe sell prints, but his inner voice said, "You're not that good. People will think you're trying too hard." So he never posted. 10 years later, that sketchbook gathers dust. and Jason works in a job he hates. Emily dreamed of starting a small online bakery. She loved baking. Friends begged her to sell her cakes, but her family scoffed. Baking? That's not a real job. She listened. Now, every time she bakes for a party, people ask, "Why don't you sell these?" And she smiles and says, "Just a hobby." But deep down, she knows. Fear won. Mohammed had a gift for public speaking. At university, he joined a debate team and won regional awards. But after graduation, he stopped. Why? Because someone once said, "You're too intense. People won't like you." He took it personally. He got quiet. Now, he barely speaks up in meetings, terrified of being too much. This is not just their story. It's yours. It's mine. It's all of us. At some point, handing over our dreams for the approval of people who probably aren't even watching. The irony of criticism. Here's what's truly ironic. People will criticize you no matter what you do. If you chase your dreams, they'll say you're unrealistic. If you don't, they'll say you lack ambition. If you speak your mind, they'll say you're arrogant. If you stay quiet, they'll say you're weak. So here's the truth. Criticism is inevitable. But regret? That's optional. And regret hurts more. The people who mock you today will either disappear from your life or admire your courage later. But you have to live with yourself. You have to face the mirror. You have to sleep with the voice inside that asks, "Why didn't you try?" The hidden power in vulnerability. Now here's something you probably haven't heard before. Your fear of criticism is actually proof that you care. You care about connection. You care about acceptance. You want to belong. That's not weakness. That's humanity. But you must learn to direct that caring inward first. Be loyal to your own soul before you seek validation from others. What if you could stand tall, not because you're fearless, but because you're brave enough to act despite fear? Napoleon Hill taught us that faith and fear cannot exist in the same mind at the same time. And every second you spend worrying about what others think, you are feeding fear and starving faith. What can you do today? This chapter isn't just meant to wake you up. It's meant to move you. Here's how you begin. Identify your fear. Say it aloud. I'm afraid people will think I'm not good enough. I'm afraid they'll laugh at my failure. Naming it takes away half its power. Write down what you've delayed because of fear. Be honest. A business idea? A song? A relationship? Ask, whose voice is in my head? Often, it's not even yours. It's a parent, a teacher, a jealous friend. Why should they control your future? Take one small action. Post the video. Share the idea. Speak up. You don't have to be loud, just real. Final thoughts for this chapter. Fear of criticism is real, it's powerful, and it's invisible. But so is air, and you don't let that stop you from breathing. This fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal. A signal that what you want matters to you. So don't run from it. Use it. When your heart beats faster at the thought of being judged, smile. Because that means you're close to something real, something worth doing. And maybe, just maybe, when you walk through that fear, you'll discover that the voice you were afraid of was your own. begging you to be free. Break free. How to overcome fear and act boldly. Let's be honest. Fear of criticism doesn't go away on its own. It doesn't dissolve with time. It doesn't disappear when you get older, wiser, or more experienced. It matures with you, and it gets smarter. Unless you face it head on, it stays in control. But here's the good news. Fear is not real in the physical sense. It's a mental construct. And what is constructed by the mind can be reconstructed, or even better, replaced. You don't need to eliminate fear entirely. You just need to stop letting it be the one in charge. In this chapter, we're going to learn how. Step 1. Understand the root, not the surface. You cannot defeat what you don't understand. So first, let's get clear. The fear of criticism is not about others. It's not really about what people think. It's about what you think they think. That's a big difference. In psychology, this is called the spotlight effect. We believe others are paying far more attention to us than they really are. Most people are too busy worrying about their own image to care much about yours. So here's a hard truth. You're not being judged as much as you think. And even when you are, does it truly matter? As Napoleon Hill wrote, "Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Everyone has a flock of them. Don't trade your life's purpose for something that cheap." Step 2. Use Napoleon Hill's 6 Ghosts of Fear framework. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill outlines 6 basic fears that haunt most people. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of old age, fear of death. But he makes something very clear. The fear of criticism feeds all the others. Because once you fear judgment, you fear everything that could make you look weak. Hill's antidote? Definiteness of purpose. Because when you are absolutely clear on what you want, fear has no place to grow. Step 3. Create your definite major purpose. This is the foundation of Napoleon Hill's system. Without it, you're drifting. Ask yourself, what do I want more than anything in this life? And what am I willing to give in return? Write your answer down. Not just the goal, but the exchange. What effort, time, discipline, or sacrifices are you willing to give? This clarity is your mental armor. When you know your why, criticism becomes background noise. Step 4. Master the power of auto-suggestion. This isn't woo-woo. It's mental programming. Hill emphasized, repetition of affirmation of orders to your subconscious mind is the only known method of voluntary development of the emotion of faith. In other words, you must tell yourself the truth you want to believe, before the world does. Here's a 3-step daily habit. Every morning, speak aloud your purpose. Example, I am building a business that brings freedom and joy to thousands. I am fearless in pursuing it. Visualize yourself succeeding, in detail. Finish with this sentence. I am no longer a slave to fear. I am the master of my mind. This isn't pretending. It's reprogramming. Just as fear became your default over time, faith can become your new normal through daily effort. Step 5. Find your mastermind group. Hill said, no mind is complete by itself. It needs contact and cooperation with other minds to grow and expand. Translation: you need a tribe, a team, even one person who believes in you when you're doubting yourself. Fear grows in isolation, but courage grows in conversation. Find people who are building, growing, risking. Their energy will become your energy, and their support will silence the critics in your head. Step 6. Act while afraid. Let's get brutally honest. You will never feel ready. Waiting for confidence is a trap. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. Do the thing. Speak the truth. Post the content. Start the project. Apply for the opportunity. While you're scared. While your hands shake. While your voice trembles. Because once you do it scared, the fear loses power. And once it loses power, you gain momentum. And momentum creates transformation. Step 7. Journal your resistance. Every time you avoid something out of fear, write it down. Ask, what was I afraid of? Whose opinion stopped me? What did I lose by staying silent? You'll begin to see patterns, names, faces, voices, and you'll realize that most of your fear was a memory, not a current reality. Awareness breaks cycles. Step 8. Redefine success and failure. Fear of criticism often disguises itself as fear of failure. Because failure, we believe, gives others a reason to mock us. But what is failure really? If you try and fall, you learn. If you never try, you rot. Here's a radical idea. Failure is the price of mastery. No one successful got there without falling, not once, but repeatedly. And the more you fail in pursuit of your purpose, the more bulletproof you become. Because at some point, you realize no amount of external judgment can match the pain of internal regret. Real-life stories of bold action. Let's meet a few people who overcame this exact fear. Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, was told by dozens of manufacturers that her idea was ridiculous. No one took her seriously. She smiled through it. Today, she's a billionaire. Colonel Sanders of KFC had his chicken recipe rejected over 1,000 times. People laughed at an old man trying to sell fried chicken, but he didn't stop. He kept knocking. Even when they laughed. He died wealthy, fulfilled, and remembered. YouTubers, musicians, coders, and writers. Every successful one has a folder of hate comments, mockery, and early failures. But they all have one thing in common. They kept going. And that's what matters. Final advice from Napoleon Hill. If you remember one thing from Hill, let it be this. Set your mind on a definite goal and observe how quickly the world stands aside to let you pass. That's not magic. That's the result of courage plus clarity. If you walk boldly toward your goal, even if your voice trembles, even if your friends don't understand, even if you face rejection after rejection, you will make progress. Because courage compounds, and every step into fear is a step into freedom. Final thoughts, from fear to freedom. Let's come full circle. You began this video knowing that 95% of people never reach their full potential. Now you know why, but more importantly, you know how to avoid becoming one of them. It doesn't take genius. It doesn't take wealth. It doesn't take perfection. It takes bravery. Bravery to disappoint the crowd, to chase what matters, to build a life that makes you proud. When fear of criticism rises, welcome it. It means you're doing something bold. It means you're alive. It means you're close to the edge of growth. So walk forward. Not fearless, but fear-trained. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the real you, unfiltered, unafraid, and unstoppable. And if they criticize you, Smile, because now you know exactly what that means. You're finally doing something worth noticing.